layouts like this have become really hard to find, and I don't know why. Welcome everybody, Josh RV Nerd of Bish's RV down here at Forest River, taking a look at a floor plan I've always kind of wanted to put my hands on. I kind of saw this layout initially among its Surveyor sister. I don't even know if Surveyor necessarily offers it anymore, but I think this is a really cool twist on a front kitchen. There's a lot of builders who make a front kitchen living room layout like this, like with the wraparound mega counter and dining bar, but with a middle bedroom and a rear bath ensuite. Now, if you're the type of person that likes to have guests over, that means that somebody has to walk through your bedroom to get to your bathroom. And a bedroom sometimes feels like a very personal space for reasons. And not everybody necessarily wants somebody going through their bathroom or bedroom to get to the bathroom. You don't have to do that in this model. Not to mention, rear bedrooms are very private. They keep you a little further away from the foot traffic of, people walking through campsites if you're park camping. And it just makes for a little more quiet, secluded experience. This is also a true queen bed. And it's weird because it's an east-west bed back there, but it's not a bed slide. But they still threw all that Ibex storage space they could around it. It's a really interesting layout. Also, great counter space in this one. Doesn't have a propane oven. I know that's a problem for some folks, but this is it's like a 3-in-1 electric oven. You have propane stovetop, you have a propane griddle outdoors. We're looking at it today in the optional Black Canyon Beast Mode package, which adds a couple things such as it doubles on the solar. It has a 2,000 watt inverter. Obviously, the biggest part of it is that independent suspension off-road type package that they have right here. But this has holding tank heaters, heated underbelly, accessory receiver hitch standard on the back, Asdel in the walls, a bunch of really cool qualities wrapped up in here. And I'm really curious to know what you think about it. Now, I'll do my best to kind of proactively share good, bad, ugly, and in between. And as we go, I'd love to hear from you. What do you think about it? And a quick housekeeping note here as we get started. What we are in is a prototype of this model. It is pretty much going to represent, what you might expect to see in person at one of our stores or anybody's store. I'm well aware that plenty of people who watch these videos aren't buying exclusively from Bish's RV. That's okay. All I ask is just for the opportunity for one of our team members to earn your business in return for the work that I do here. I'm not in sales myself, so whether you do or don't doesn't really change my reality, but I want to try to provide you a service. And one of those things is they, when they make prototypes, if they haven't built the thing yet, there's certain things like, is there going to be a dark corner? It's not really showing up this way on camera because of the way that my camera manipulates light, but this front end is a little dark. So they're going to add a couple lights up in that front kitchen just to kind of help illuminate things. Like the bed, they've decided to add a headboard, some little details like that. For the most part, she's pretty much dialed in. One of the first things I want to mention is when you go into the 2-axle, or if you get the independent suspension, the 4-wheeled Ibex models, you get a taller ceiling. I think it's like 6'9" or 10 or something like that, but it's several inches taller than industry standard. And it's a difference that you can feel when you walk right in this thing. It opens spaces right up. It allows for a little bit taller slide out, which makes, like, you see how they've pushed the refrigerator back into the slide a little bit? It opens up the space a little more. If you're a little bit taller like me, you might still bump your head on the slide fascia, so be careful of that. But generally speaking, the average American adult will fit in here just fine. Now, this floor plan offers awesome counter space. I have yet to ever talk to anyone who truly doesn't like their RV because it has, quote, too much counter space. And I suspect I never will. But when you look at all this, man, it's Energizer Bunny countertop area. It just keeps going and going and going. And it allows for some really solid storage overall, but due to the shape and the nature of this, they were not able to include a fully enclosed overhead cabinet. It would have been a bit of a concussinator, essentially. Concussinator. That sounds like something that Dr. Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb would use. Anyone who watches Phineas and Ferb knows what I'm talking about. Everybody else is like, he's making words up again. And because I'm a Toys R Us childlike idiot, this will probably come as a surprise to no one, but I low-key love Phineas and Ferb. I'm not gonna lie. I will go out of my way to this day. If I see Phineas and Ferb on, I'll watch it. That's a fun show. I really like that show. Music is great. The story's fun. It's awesome. Anyway, back to the camper that we're looking at here. Lots of lower cabinet space, but again, no upper cabinet space. You're going to want to keep track of that. Planning on how you pack this. You haven't really seen a pantry yet, but it has a big one right by the door. Now, their cooking arrangement in this, they do not provide a propane oven. And I know that's a problem for some folks, so let's just talk about it. Let's get it out of the way. We have the 3-in-1 electric oven here, which anything that you can generally cook in an RV propane oven, you can cook in there. That being said, it's going to require shore power or a generator. And for the boondock enthusiast, that's just not necessarily in the cards. Now, it's interesting. They left that big wide open cabinet down there. I like that they didn't waste the space. I've actually seen some manufacturers who will just waste all of that storage and just throw a panel in there because like, oh, we save money by not including an oven. Yeah, your brand also sucks. That's why nobody buys it. You got to at least do something with it. Now, if you're somebody like me who doesn't tend to boondock a lot, if you just park camp, this kitchen arrangement with that cooking solution is generally speaking going to serve you very well. But if, you want your cookies and biscuits in the more traditional fashion, that may not necessarily work for you. Notice how you do have the blackout roller shades for your windows there. You do have a choice between this theater seat that we're looking at or a trifold sleeper sofa hide-a-bed. And it's interesting to me, there's that open space beside the sofa over there. If I had to guess, I mentioned when this video began, this layout initially was a member of the Surveyor family, and I don't know if it still is or not, but Surveyor would offer a dinette, and I wonder if they just left the slide box the same, even though the sofa isn't larger. I don't know that. That's just a total theory. Porcelain foot flush stool here and a walk-through middle bathroom. Walk-through middle bathrooms, that jelly is not necessarily everyone's jam, but they do keep the RV a little shorter while giving you a bigger bedroom and making a very private bedroom back there. So sometimes they work for folks. Excellent headroom up here in the shower as well because of the taller ceiling, and you will not need to spend extra bucks after the fact to upgrade to a bigger fan because that will just be factory standard in here. That's another one of those things just based on user feedback. I want to give them some credit for that. The Surveyor, Arpod, Ibex, Nobo family of campers, I'm not going to tell you that they're perfect. I don't know that any RV necessarily is perfect, but they are listening and they are trying to do things a little more in line with what folks would like to see where they can. They can't always do that, but they try where they can. I personally like what we're about to see, but I know that not everybody necessarily cares. It looks like a giant medicine cabinet. It's not a terrible one. At least it's a medicine cabinet. It's not nothing, but it's got a little toothbrush holder slot built right into it, which I personally like. But if you have, power, like toothbrushy kind of things, that's not going to work. But that's why we have the extended little counter shelf over here. All of your main control stuff over here for not your slide outs. Those slide buttons are by the door, but your holding tank heaters, your water heater. By the way, I do want to mention that this does have holding tank heat pads for all 4 tanks because this RV has 2 gray tanks. I don't think people realize how often an RV manufacturer will not include a holding tank heat pad if an RV has a second gray tank. And in case you're like, well, why does this one have a second gray tank? It's because it's a front kitchen and the bathroom's too far away to share a gray tank. So there's that. I'm pretty sure you can get a second air, which would install up here. But this bedroom range, I'm not in wide angle lens mode, so this is going to be a bit tricky for me to fully showcase. They gave you a north-south bed arrangement and storage in an east-west application. Now, that does mean you're sort of scooting around the bed a little bit, but it is a 60 by 80 true queen bed. So if you feel like replacing the mattress, you can actually put one in here that does not suck like a factory backbreaker death wafer. And thankfully, lifting it up out of the way is easy in case you want to get to that more enclosed rear pocket, which is going to be a little tricky to get to because the struts themselves are kind of in the way. So you're going to want to put stuff in there that isn't everyday things. Thankfully, you don't have to lift the bed all the time because they give you 4 pretty good sized dresser drawers here that are easy to reach. Now, in addition to that, on both sides of the bed, they have very symmetrical storage around the bed. You have 2 more smaller drawers here. So maybe like socks and undies or something like that. I was thinking of an Uncle Gary joke. We're going to leave that one alone. The overhead cabinet space in here is way bigger than you normally get because it's a fully square space. Most Ibex models are front bedrooms. So that overhead cabinet space is partially deleted by the curvature of the RV's nose itself, which you won't have to deal with here. Let me get this bed out of the way. Ooh, that was loud. I'm so sorry. Yeah, there you go. And yeah, you noticed, I'm sure you probably noticed that there is TV prep, TV hookups straight across from the bed over here. So overall, I think pretty effective floor plan in that regard. One of the other cool things about this, I'm tripping over the chairs that are behind me. I forgot we have that Peninsula countertop. Is that when the slide closes in this one, the travel access is actually pretty good. And to demonstrate that, I thought it would make sense to actually get up all the way into the nose of the kitchen so that you could see how the seating and the peninsula, the dining area there, don't pinch one another off. So you can walk up here, you can get to the sink, the stove, I don't know, microwave, pretty much, yeah, all the drawers. Refrigerator. I mean, you can do a lot of those things right there. By the way, handy little detail, having the converter fuse box on the next to the floor by the door is such a godsend when it comes to actually servicing that thing and like getting into it to change a fuse. It's so much easier. Now, in this area, because we have this big, deep rack and pinion slide, I am required to do a sideways travel trailer 2-step, but I really don't even got to suck in my big old chicken nugget dad bod to squeeze through that sucker. So this RV, potentially, depending on your physical sizing, can have some excellent road mode capability. And just to kind of demo this for you, I thought I'd actually flip the camera around and yeah, I got to step sideways, but I'm not like squeezing through this thing or anything like that. It wouldn't be as bad if I would take any responsibility for my physical health and well-being and wasn't the shape and size that I am, but it is what it is. The fact is, I'm willing to put myself on the line and do my own stunts. Things that make you go, So when you're looking at the weights and measures there, that's the base model. The Beast Mode package adds a little bit of weight. Beast Mode package is the tires, the Max Air vent cover, the solar expansion, the 2,000 watt inverter, and the water filtration system. It adds a little bit of weight. And my guess is because of the weight limitations of what the Beast Mode package is rated for carrying from its producer, it leaves this RV feeling concerningly light on cargo carry capacity. I don't like that, but I do feel I have a fiduciary responsibility to point out little details like that. What's interesting is when that package was first being introduced, by the way, the big black box we're looking at here, that is your TPMS repeater, so tire pressure monitoring standard. But when the Beast Mode package was first being engineered, I know what it was actually initially rated for. And then the company that produces it derated it before it got applied and onto RVs. So I know it's actually rated for more weight. Here's what I'm not saying. What I am not saying is you can overload this RV. I will never say that. I will only ever recommend going by the numbers for hundreds of reasons that I don't even want to get into here. But it's just one of those things that I know, but it doesn't matter what I know. Those are the guidelines that we have to go by. So yeah, there's that. The thing is, this suspension package is one of the best riding and handling I've ever personally experienced in travel trailers in my near 17 years of doing this. It changes from a 2-axle system, a common leaf spring 2-axle, into a 4-wheel independent suspension package, and it tracks and rides like it's on rails behind you. It works. It works well. And like that alone feels like it's worth the money on the beast mode package. But if you're like, I don't tow a lot, I don't go through any adverse terrain, I like the layout, I'd like to save a little weight, a little cost, you can get the base version of this and it's still a pretty swanky camper, you know. This little pocket under here under the headboard I think is very handy. It's also very critical because one of the other challenges with a front kitchen like this is it doesn't really have good space for a lot of outdoor storage. That's always one of the challenges of front kitchen designs. And when they get a little smaller to mid-size like this is giant by European standards, but by American standards, this is small to mid-size for a front kitchen. It's a challenge. What they didn't skimp on at all is that awning. Holy cow. They gave us some serious awning space there. We are ladder and backup camera prepped, as you can see up there. I would personally prefer just a built-on ladder, but I don't always get my way. I also want to point out a thoughtful detail here. A lot of manufacturers never consider, because my experience has been a lot of the people designing these things either have never camped or have never actually listened to a single bit of consumer feedback, or often both. The fact that the spare tire matches the upgraded tires, do you realize how many RVs don't do that? There's so many camper brands that will offer a tire package upgrade and then still put a mismatched spare on the back. It's insane. It's absolutely incredible to me. Now, if I'm going to guess, yep, we are a two-headed sewer monster. That's pretty common with front kitchens, you know. It's just one of those things that happens to be. So we have our bathroom black and gray back here, and we have our kitchen gray outlet up front. I'm going to take a walk on the wild side and get up there and take a look at that to let you see how easy it is to access. You might have noticed that is a rack and pinion slide system, which I prefer simply with what I've seen, my experience in terms of reliability. Like if I was personally going to get a camper with a slide, that is the system I would prefer. Every slide system has benefits and drawbacks, but that's the one that I would like to go with myself, just because I get the most peace of mind knowing that that's how things are operating. It's technically under the slide. It's not the hardest thing to reach I've ever seen. I don't love it, but like, I could deal with it, but I got long arms, so that works for me. Quick construction overview. We do have Asdel below the fiberglass. The roof is a stick-built snow-load walk-on. Everything else is going to be aluminum framed and laminated, and that's a very quick primer on the construction of this one, but accurate. So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. I'm going to do you a couple things here. In the video description, I'm going to leave you a bunch of links, as I typically do. First of all, the first one will get you to our website where you can see if we have one in stock, and if we do, it'll have a price tag displayed right on it. If we don't, contact our team. I'm not in sales. I don't have sale pricing. If you leave in the comments what's the price, I don't personally know. Not to mention it changes all the time. So that's the only way we can give you current and accurate pricing, is to direct you to our website. Otherwise, you might get something that is outdated by the time you watch this. I don't know. Secondly, there are some builders with some other similar layouts like this, some a little shorter, some a little longer, some right around the same size. I'm going to dig you up a couple links to those and leave me a note. Which one would you go with and why? I'd love to hear from you on any of the videos. It doesn't have to be just this one. So until then, or next time, or whenever we happen to cross paths, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.